everyone, and welcome to another session with AARP Mindful Movement in Alabama. I am your host, Margie Curry, and today's session is with our certified yoga instructor, Becca Impello. And Becca has been practicing and teaching yoga for more than 20 years. Everyone, we want to remind you that AARP empowers people to choose how they live as they age. AARP is a nonpartisan 501c4 organization that has over 420,000 members in Alabama alone. AARP's role is to advocate for those 50 plus families. AARP is committed to offering opportunities for people to stay engaged from your home. The Mindful Movement series provides an opportunity for you to keep moving in the safety of your own home. Becca, hey, what do you have for us this morning?
Good morning, Margie. Well, today I thought we would do a nice, sort of all-around practice is what I like to call it, where we do a little bit of everything, or we try to get the whole body working. We'll do a little bit of breathing. We'll do plenty of stretching and moving, and we'll even throw in a little bit of balance work at the end.
All right. That sounds great, Becca. That sounds really wonderful. And folks, everybody, we want to remind you that please do check with your physician before you begin any exercise program to know that whether it's safe or not to participate. So, Becca, you take it away. Sounds wonderful what you have for us today.
All right, very good. Well, I want us to start today with something that's called Ujjayi breath. Now, that's the Sanskrit word. The language of yoga's roots comes from part of the world where they spoke Sanskrit, which was an ancient language. So Ujjayi means victorious breath. That's one way to sort of translate that. You might often hear it called ocean breath. It's a way of breathing that's going to challenge us to use our full capacity, to inhale a little more fully and to use a little more action or muscle strength on the exhale. There's also some other benefits to this type of breathing that I just want to quickly mention. Because this type of breath is going to create a little bit of a sound or a vibration in our throat because of the way we're going to sort of change the shape of the throat. That vibration around some of the key nerves that pass through our throat is been found to be pretty beneficial to our nervous system. So that vibrational energy that we make when we do this breath has a general calming or focusing or centering effect on our nervous system. So that's another benefit of this particular breath. Okay, so we're going to start by doing it with a technique that allows us to sort of get a feel for how to do this breath. And we're going to really be just doing the work, so to speak, or the action on the exhales. All right, so sometimes I call this version the ha breath, because we're going to be exhaling that syllable ha and dragging out that ah sound for as long as we comfortably can. All right, so it's going to be something like this. You can join in and whenever you feel ready. I'm going to inhale through my nose, just a nice full breath in, and then out the mouth. So making that real breathy, soft ha sound from the back of the throat. I'm going to try it again. Kind of like you were using your breath to say fog up a mirror or fog up a glass. Let's try it a couple more times, the ha breath. Inhale through the nose, out through the mouth. Again. One more time like that. Now, I'm kind of exaggerating the sound of my breath so that maybe you'll be able to hear and pick up on it, but you can make it very soft and, maybe something that really only just you can hear and feel. Now, if you'd like to, let's try and take that same feeling inside your throat when you are making the ha sound, and let's see if we can do that same action, but exhale through the nose instead of through the mouth. All right, so it'll be a little softer, a little bit quieter. You may not be able to hear my breath this time around. See what you notice in your own body. So it's still an inhale through the nose, but now our exhale will be through the nose also. Close up that throat. You should still be able to feel and hear that little bit of ha sound. Let's do a couple more rounds. I'm trying to keep it slow and long. 3 more times. One more round. All right, now you may be thinking, wow, Becca, that wasn't all that relaxing to me. If this was new for you, if that technique is not something that you were familiar with, it's certainly possible that trying to do something new and with your breath, felt a little bit more stimulating or, not so calming. And that's okay. Everything takes practice. But that action of closing the throat to make that sound slows down the exhale. Maybe you noticed it took a little bit longer. It felt like, you were, really needed to move to that inhale at the end. That's all a good signal that you were lengthening out your breath. Now, as we get into our practice, there's going to be some places where you could use your ujjayi breathing as you're practicing your yoga poses and movements. And that's a common thing that's done in some types of yoga classes, right? So you can try that as you feel comfortable. I'll give you a reminder later on. All right, let's loosen up the body a little bit. So let's roll the shoulders a couple of times. Nice big circles, bringing those shoulders forward, up towards the ears, and then squeezing them back and down. A couple more times. It always feels real good to me, this sort of massaging of the muscles around the shoulders and the upper back. All right, let those shoulders stay back and down. Turn the head side to side. Notice how you feel through that neck area. Next time your chin is over to one shoulder, drop it down. Let's draw a semicircle across the chest with that chin. When you get to the other shoulder, pause and then come back. Across the chest. 2 more times. Good. Put that head back on top. Let's do a little bit of arm motion, so warming up those shoulders. Inhale and just sweep the arms as high as you're comfortable reaching. Exhale and bring them back down. This is a place where you could use ujjayi breath. 3 more. Sitting up tall, I'm trying to get a little stretch for my spine as well as for those arms and shoulders. One more. Now, one arm up could be on the top of your head if raising it overhead is not so great. And let's take a little side stretch. You might hold here, or if you feel like your body's a little stiff, maybe you take it in and out, sort of wave that body in and out of that stretch, your choice. And then let's bring it back to center and take the other arm up, or remember, maybe hand on top of the head or even on the top of the heart if you want, and take it over to that other side. Maybe hold the stretch, or feel free, like I showed last time, to go in and out a bit. And then bring it back up tall. Bring the hands here to the heart. Let's warm up the spine a little bit more. We'll use the arms. Pull back with the shoulder blades and the elbows, and then push forward. So we're trying to just make as much movement as we're comfortable making here and seated, with our spine rounding and arching, or maybe it feels more like just sitting tall for you. That's okay. If you spend a lot of time, more rounded, if your posture is a little more rounded, then sitting up straight and tall will feel like you're going, into a back bend sometimes. 3 more of these. Last one. All right, good. Now let's warm up the legs a little bit before we stand up. So I want you just to start with a marching action so we get the hip muscles woken up. Try to stay sitting up nice and tall. If you want a little more challenge, try taking the arms out to the side or up overhead as you keep that march going. Keep it slow enough that you're using good control and you're lifting up, sitting nice and tall, not leaning back. All right, good. Drop the arms down. Now let's take one leg and bend and straighten so we can loosen up the knee joint. Now we do a lot of this practice here in mindful movement with a chair. Today I'm going to give you the option if you want to go all the way to the floor, you'll have some things you can do there. Let's switch legs. Good. Now let's take one foot forward and circle to get that ankle loosened up. And go the other way. And then the other foot out, circle. Go the other way. All right, good. Now let's go ahead and come out of the chair. And here's what I want to do for the start of our standing part is sun salutation, right? So this is, again, a pretty common practice within certain types of yoga classes, okay? I like to do my sun salutations with the chair often. It makes it a little more accessible. It's still a great way to move and stretch the body. If you want to do it down on the floor, it's quite possible to do that. Just anytime the hands are on the chair, your hands are going to be on the floor instead. All right. So I'll do the first round using the chair. And then if you want to stay there with the chair, you can. If you want to explore going down on the floor, I'll do the second round to the floor. All right. So let's stand tall in front of that chair. Do make sure it's not going to slide. It's on a nice, surface. It's not going to slip, or it's up against a wall or a piece of furniture, something that will hold it. All right. Let's reach up. Stand tall and then soften those knees and fold down. You're taking your hands to the chair, or you could be taking the hands down to the floor. Even if you're planning to use the chair for the rest of it, you could take those hands to the floor for that part if you want to. All right, and then we lift up a little bit, flat back. Hands are either on the chair or on your knees or your thighs. And then soften and fold it back down. Step the left foot forward if you're at the chair, right foot way back. So hands on the chair, or if you're on the floor, those hands are going to be on the floor on either side of that front foot. All right, so let's hold this lunge. Now I've stepped pretty far back, but it's okay to not, to take it a little less long if you feel more comfortable with a shorter stance. All right, now we come back into a plank position. So step the other foot back, push through those arms into the seat of the chair, or maybe you're pushing onto the floor. Try to hold that body nice and firm. 2 more breaths. This is another great place to use ujjayi breathing. Sometimes it just helps you feel a little more strong. All right, now we push those hips back, lengthen out the arms and the spine for downward facing dog. Feel free to walk those knees a little bit back and forth so that you're shifting those hips, getting a little more mobility there into the body. And then step the right foot forward into that lunge on the other side. Now, one other option you might have, if you're down on the floor, you could put your back knee down. You could do this lunge a little lower. Usually in the chair, we don't do that. We keep the knee up. All right, now we're going to step it all the way back in to where we started. Lift up into that flat back, and then fold it down. Pause here for another breath. And then we sit back into chair pose. So this is hips back, like you're sitting in an imaginary chair, chest and arms up in front. Maybe you keep them at the heart, or maybe you even take those arms all the way overhead. And then rise up tall, maybe reach, maybe arch back gently, and then hands back to the heart. Pause here, take a little breath here, check in. Now you're making a decision about staying with the chair or perhaps trying your second salutation to the floor. Okay, so like I promised, I'm going to do this one to the floor, but I'll remind you what you'd be doing if you're in the chair. Here we go. Inhale and reach up. Exhale and fold forward, soft knees, drape that spine down, hands in the chair or down to the floor. And then lift up, flat back, push into the chair or bring those hands to your knees or your thighs. And then fold it back down. All right, step the left foot a little bit forward. I've got my fingertips on the floor, or you might be on the chair. Right foot back. Now, again, if you're down on the floor, you could put your right knee on the ground if you want to. Good, one more breath. Now we step into plank. So hands push into the floor or the chair. Step the left leg back. Have a nice firm press into the ground. You could do plank with your knees down. This is a little more challenging than being in the chair. So maybe you want to put those knees to the floor. One more breath. Downward dog. Push those hips up and back. Sometimes you have to adjust the feet if you're on the floor. Maybe walk them in a little bit. Maybe bend the knees a little bit more. Push up and back into those sitting bones. Try to let the head hang down. Good, and then we're bringing the other foot, the right foot forward. Stepping it between the hands or stepping it up towards the chair. Remember, you can put your back knee down on the ground if you're low and close to the floor. And then step that back leg in. Come up into flat back, hands on the shins or the knees or on the chair. And then fold it back down. Sit back into those into those hips and the heels, into chair pose. Maybe bring those arms forward or up. And then rise all the way up tall. And hands to the heart. Pause, take a breath, check in. All right, now we're going to do the sun salutations again, and I'm going to give some options. There's just some variations, and these can be done whether you're using the chair or whether you go into the floor. And if you feel like you don't want to take that option or that variation, you want to stick with what we've already done, that's great too. You can stick with that. All right, here we go. I'm going to use the chair this go around. Inhale up, exhale and fold it down. Lift back up and fold. Yeah, let's go right foot forward first, left foot back, hands on the chair or down on the floor. Remember, if you're on the floor, your knee can come down. Option here is to lift those arms up if you want. All right, now they could come to the heart, and they could reach out in front, or they could go all the way up. Challenges the strength and the balance a little bit more here. And then we'll bring those hands back down to the chair or to the floor, step back into our plank pose. All right, now if you wanted to, you could lower your plank. You could either lower all the way to the floor, or you can do a little push up. And then you can lift up with that chest into a little bit of a back bend. Now this isn't for everyone. All right, from the floor, you're pushing off the floor to get the chest any amount up. And then let's all transition, pushing those hips back into downward facing dog. Arms long, really press them into the chair or press them into the floor. Maybe move those hips and knees a little bit. Good, and then we'll step the left foot forward. We have that lunge on the other side. Optional to come up off the chair, to bring your hands up. Maybe reach them overhead. If you do find this is a challenge for your balance, keep your eyes open and focused on one spot out in front of you. Steady that breath. Maybe use that ujjayi breath, that soft ha sound from the back of the throat. And then let the hands come back down to the chair or to the floor. Step in, fold, lift into that flat back, and then fold. Sit back into the heels, back into the hips, come into chair pose. And then rise all the way up. Exhale. Hands to the heart. Pause. Got one more round of sun salutations. I'm going to go ahead and do this one to the floor, kind of equal time for both. For those folks who may want to see both options, all right, you can stick with the chair if that's working well for you. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold down to the chair or down towards the floor. Flat back, lift back up. And then fold. Hands in the chair or hands on the floor. Step the left foot in, the right leg back. Now this time around, we're going to do a little twist. So you're going to leave your right hand in the chair or on the floor, and you're going to turn to the left and let that left arm reach back. It could be left hand on the left hip. If you don't want to reach it back, good. And then unwind that twist. Now we step back into plank. Remember, if you're on the floor, knees can come down. You could skip this whole push-up thing if you don't think it's for you. You can lower it down or bend towards the chair a little bit and then pull the chest up any amount. And then release it. And then press it up and back into downward facing dog. Then maybe walk out those legs, shake out that head. All right, and then it's the right foot that's coming forward. Maybe put that twist in there. Turn to the right. Right hand on your hip, or right arm can stretch back. Push away from that left hand, whether it's on the floor or the chair. Pushing into that left arm helps you move into that twist. All right, and then unwind that twist. Let's step the back leg in. Lift into that flat back. And then fold it down. Sit back into chair pose. Slowly come up, find your balance, stay steady. And then reach all the way up. And hands to the heart. All right, now let's just pause here another moment or two. You can drop your arms to your sides. Maybe you want to close your eyes unless you feel real wobbly when your eyes close. Just see if you can notice the heart beating a little faster, the breath moving a little more rapidly. Maybe a feeling of fatigue or tingle somewhere in your arms or your legs, some of the muscles that we've been working. All right, now eyes open, we'll change positions. You want to just be close to something as needed to hold on to. Wall, back of your chair, another piece of furniture that's handy. We'll do a little bit of balance work, and then we'll settle it down and just do a little calming breath again. All right, so stand on one leg, pick the other foot up and turn that knee out for tree pose. You bring that foot to somewhere on the ankle or the calf, or maybe even up high in the thigh. For some folks, that feels like a good place to be. You could try. All right, and then you're hugging those hips into the middle. Lift up nice and tall. Maybe you're holding on with one hand. Maybe you're trying to let go and bring the hands to the heart. Feel free to take those arms to a more extended or overhead position if you want to. Okay, keep breathing. It's okay to wobble a little bit. That means you're really challenging your balance. And then let's take it down, do a little walk in place. Let's take this to the other side. So stand on that other hip or other leg, hug that hip in, turn the knee out, find that placement. It can even be touching the floor. So if balance is a real challenge for you, start your tree pose with your big toes still touching the ground. Maybe you work on letting go. Maybe there's a need to keep one finger touching. And 2 or 3 more breaths. This is another place where you could use a little ujjayi breath in the throat, that little ha sound. All right, and then bring it down, shake it out a little bit. All right, let's sit back down. All right, we got a lot done here in this short period of time, but we still have a few minutes, which is nice, so we can stretch out a little bit and we can settle everything back down. So let's stretch the hips here. Cross your ankle up to your knee. If that doesn't work for you, cross your ankle below the knee, right there on the shin or the calf. I'm sorry, the shin or the ankle. All right, and then sit up tall. Some of us may have a little bit of room to sort of lean into it, just depending on what we've already found in our hips as far as the stretch. And see if we can start to slow the breath down. Now, Ujjayi is one way to slow the breath down, but if you felt like that was, new to you and a fair amount of work, then don't try to use Ujjayi. Just simply see if you can overall slow each breath a little bit. Good. And then let's release this side. Pause a moment. Just be aware of that sensation in the hip that you were just stretching. And then let's go to the other leg, crossing the ankle to the knee, or remember you can take this to a lower position if you happen to have a stool or an ottoman in front. Sometimes crossing to that is nice. All right, sit up tall. Again, maybe there's some room to lean forward. The leaning forward is optional. Maybe you've gotten plenty of stretch just by trying to sit up tall. And then release, come back to both feet on the ground, maybe scoot back a little bit so that you have some more support for your back against the chair. Let your hands just rest right on top of your thighs, your feet hopefully on the floor. I'm going to invite you to close your eyes here for a moment if that's uncomfortable or any reason that you can't close your eyes. Just see if you can drop your gaze down, soften your eyelids. And you're just finding that breath. And what I want you to try to do this time is to imagine that as you're exhaling, you're slowly going down a set of stairs. So you inhale, it just lifts you up a little bit, and then exhale down, 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 down. That image of going down the stairs slowly. Or maybe you might vision an escalator that you're riding down, right? So there's not those little jaggedness to it. But you're smoothly, slowly descending into that more relaxed state that we experience at the end of every exhale naturally. Let's just take a few more rounds. Imagine slowly stepping down, just trying to go nice and slow. 2 more breaths like that. And then open your eyes if they're closed. Bring your hands up to the heart, palms together as a little sign, symbol of gratitude. We're grateful to our bodies and our breath and all the ways that we can use them mindfully. And we're always grateful to AARP of Alabama for giving us this opportunity to move together. Thanks for joining us, and we'll hope to see you next Tuesday at 10 a.m.
Thank you, Becca. That was very relaxing. I really enjoyed it. After my days get started, I need something like that to really bring me down. So I do appreciate that today. And we want everyone to please let us know what you think about our program. We have a survey online. We'd love for you to go to that. And please continue to join us with AARP Alabama Mindful Movement on Tuesday mornings at 10 o'clock a.m. So we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Margie.